All right, let's jump right in. We're about to unpack a really fascinating and super detailed end times framework. And you'll see it operates less like a simple pass-fail exam and way more like a high-stakes corporate performance review. Yeah, this is about judgment for sure, but it's also about reward, rank, and real responsibility in a coming kingdom. So, let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. What if securing eternal life was just the beginning? Just step one? What if, after that, your entire life's work was put under a microscope, audited to determine your position, your authority, and even how close you get to the king? Probably the easiest way to think about this is with a simple analogy. Imagine salvation is your employee ID badge. It gets you in the front door of the company. That's a done deal, a permanent legal status. But your rewards? That's your job title. That's your level of authority. Your access to the CEO, that's the corner office. And believe me, it is based entirely on performance. And here's what's kind of wild. This whole cosmic audit, this massive transition of power, it doesn't happen over centuries or millennia. According to this framework, the whole thing unfolds over an incredibly specific and really rapid 15-day period. So let's just walk through this timeline. It all kicks off on day one with an event called Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, which is like a giant signal for a regathering. This starts a 10-day period where a critical audit is happening up in the heavens, while at the same time, total chaos is breaking loose on Earth. Then, boom, day 10, the king and his chosen elite return. The final 5 days, that's all about processing and organizing the mortal survivors. It is a packed schedule. So yeah, Yom Teruah is the official summons. It's the moment the entire righteous assembly is called together. It marks the end of their mortal service and the immediate beginning of their immortal performance review. The clock officially starts now. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates these two parallel tracks. For 10 days, you've got this quiet judicial process happening in the heavens, sifting through everyone who is called to find the truly chosen few. But while that's going on, it is anything but quiet on Earth. The land is being purged, prepared, and made ready for our brand new administration. So, what's the legal basis for all of this? Well, it's often called the Bema Seat judgment, and it is absolutely crucial to understand this is not about deciding who goes to heaven or hell. Your ticket, so to speak, is already punched. This is purely 100% about your rank, your reward, and your future responsibilities. This slide, this really gets to the heart of it. On the one hand, you have your justification. That's your legal status. You're in. You're part of the family, forever. But then, on the other hand, there's your stewardship. That's the audit of your performance as a member of that family. And it's your deeds in this life that directly determine your role in the next one. So how does an audit like this even work? Well, imagine your life's work is a structure you've built. That entire structure is then tested by fire. The parts you built with things of eternal value, the gold and silver, they survive. And that forms the basis of your reward. But the parts built with perishable, self-serving stuff, the wood and hay, well, they just get burned away, representing a total loss of potential reward. So what is the actual currency you need to earn that top-tier elite bridal status? It's not just about what you believed, it's about what your belief actually produced. We're talking about things like character that was forged in fire, the humility to accept when you're wrong, consistent discipline, and a really zealous turning away from spiritual compromise. These are the assets that survive that fire. Okay, so the audit is done. The fire has revealed what's what. So what are the results? This is where we see the direct outcomes, and they range from an elite promotion with massive authority to a pretty shocking level of demotion and loss. The parables in the scriptures give us a surprisingly clear model for this. It's almost mathematical. Your reward is directly proportional to your performance. If you produce 10 units of value, you get authority over 10 cities. You produce 5, you get 5. But, and this is key, if you produce nothing, if you bury your potential, your authority isn't just zero. It is actively taken away and given to someone else. Now, this leads us to one of the most challenging ideas in this entire framework. How can a son of the kingdom, someone who's clearly justified, part of the good seed, how can they face a penalty described as being cast into outer darkness? I mean, it sounds like a major contradiction, right? But the source material gives us a pretty important linguistic and contextual key here. The Greek term exoteron isn't about the most darkness, it's a comparative word. It means the darkness further away. So it's not about hell, it's about geography. It means you're outside the brightly lit wedding hall, excluded from the party, but you're still on the king's property. So then, what about the weeping and gnashing of teeth? Well, in this context, it's not the cry of eternal torment. Think of it as the expression of profound, bitter regret. It's the absolute grief of a saved believer who finally realizes they had a chance for a position of incredible honor and closeness. And because of their own inaction, they lost it all. It's the ultimate administrative remorse. Okay, so now let's zoom out and look at what this new kingdom administration actually looks like. Who's filling these roles, and what exactly is their job on this millennial Earth? Well, the hierarchy is crystal clear right from day one. At the very top, you have the bride. This is the proven, chosen elite who are going to co-reign. Then you have the guests. They're saved, they're there, but they're in a lesser capacity. And finally, you have the servants who are handling all the general operations of the kingdom. And this is a really, really crucial point. In this kind of monarchical system, being physically and spiritually close to the king, what's called the bosom of Messiah, it isn't a universal right for every single believer. It is an earned rank. It's a reward given for exceptional faithfulness and trustworthy service. Access is a privilege, not a given. So who are these new immortal administrators going to be governing? Well, they'll be ruling over what are called the sheep nations. These are the mortal survivors of all that end times chaos who were granted entry into the kingdom as subjects. They form the population of this new world. And the main job, the primary function of the bride, those highest-ranking officials, is to be the king's judicial and administrative arm. Their mandate is to implement and enforce his law, his right ruling, all across the globe, making sure the mortal nations are following the protocols of the kingdom. So we're going to end on this thought right here. This whole framework, it draws a direct line from faithful service to ruling authority. It kind of reframes faith, not just as a belief, but as a sort of spiritual apprenticeship for cosmic governance. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ponder. What does it really mean for our faith to ultimately be measured by our administrative competence?